Is Mexican Spanish the best Spanish in the world? I ask this because almost all of my students that I teach are interested in learning Mexican Spanish. Now, of course, I have students who are interested in learning Castellano, the Spanish coming from Spain, or Spanish coming from Argentina or Colombia. Always the case that most students want to learn Mexican Spanish. Why is this? Well, let's find out in today's video. Well, the number one reason is simply that a lot of Spanish speakers in the United States speak Mexican Spanish. The majority of Latin immigrants in the United States come from Mexico. Of course, we have immigrants from Ecuador, El Salvador, Guatemala, Venezuela. Mexican Spanish is the most common and popular within the US. In fact, the United States is the second largest Spanish-speaking country in the world, after Mexico. So this is the number one reason I think is probably the most popular kind of Spanish to learn among Spanish learners. The second reason that Mexican Spanish might be the best Spanish in the entire world is because it's clear. There are different Spanish accents, maybe coming from the Dominican Republic or Puerto Rico, that are a bit harder to understand because they're simply not as clear. I remember when I was living in the south of Spain, in Sevilla, and it was very hard to understand their Spanish. That region of Spain, called Andalusia, is known for having this quick Spanish, maybe they cut words off, and it's kind of hard to understand. Whereas in Mexico, everything is pronounced very clearly. I would say to you, for example, ¿Cómo estás hoy? It's very clear, it's very simple. Whereas maybe in the south of Spain, I might sound like ¿Cómo estás hoy? It's a little bit quicker. I'm almost eating my words. So this might be a big reason why Mexican Spanish is quite popular. I mean, if you were to ask anyone from the Americas about the show El Chavo del Ocho, I can almost guarantee they'll know what you're talking about. This was a Mexican TV show from back in the day, and it was very, very popular throughout Latin America. Or think about a movie like Coco, right? Very, very popular not only within the United States, but also throughout Latin America. And of course, Mexican music is extremely popular. In fact, if you go on Spotify, you will see that there's an own category for regional Mexican music. Think about someone like Peso Pluma, right? Super popular recently. Everyone knows who Peso Pluma is, not just people in Mexico. Another reason that Mexican Spanish is so awesome is because of the crazy slang that we have here in Mexico. For example, a phrase like a huevo, meaning hell yeah, literally to egg. Makes no sense, but it's fun. Or something like no manches, literally meaning do not stain, but it just means no way or get out of here. Also, it's kind of funny how in Mexico we could say something like padre, meaning father, but also meaning cool. So the slang here is endless and very fun. I mean, just ask any Mexican what the word pedo means, and they probably won't be able to tell you all the different meanings that it has. Another reason that Mexican Spanish is awesome is just because Mexican people are awesome. They're warm, polite, friendly. It makes it that much easier to practice speaking the language. Whereas if you were to go to a country like Spain, maybe the people are going to be a little bit more closed off. Not to say that they're not nice, but it is a different culture. And another great thing about Mexican Spanish is that there's a lot of regional variety. If you go to the north of Mexico, you have kind of that cowboy accent. It's a little more sing-song, right? ¿Cómo estás, güey? Fierro, viejo. It's a little more sing-songy. Then you go to central Mexico, maybe like Mexico City. Hola, ¿cómo estás, amigo? Right? It's more city vibe, maybe a little more with a fresa accent. And then you go to the south, maybe it's a little bit quicker. You can almost hear the indigenous languages in the Spanish in the south of Mexico, right? Things like Zapoteco or Tzotzil, for example. Hey, ¿cómo estás? ¿Cuándo vamos a ir a la fiesta? It's quicker, it's more abrupt, almost staccato. So Mexican Spanish is awesome because a lot of people speak it. Mexican pop culture absolutely dominates, not only within Latin America, but even in the United States. Typically, Mexican Spanish can be clear, and there's also just a lot of variety of Mexican Spanish. Now, of course, there is no best Spanish, and many students ask me, well, Nate, should I be learning Mexican Spanish or Colombian Spanish? Like, what Spanish should I focus on? Just focus on Spanish that you like. For me, Mexican Spanish made sense. I'm from Southern California. I was surrounded by Mexican Spanish, and I enjoyed listening to Mexican Spanish. But if you like watching Colombian telenovelas, then okay, go for it. Focus on that Colombian Spanish. But I do recommend that you do focus on one kind of Spanish, so whether that's Spanish coming from Spain or Mexico or Costa Rica, wherever. So I love Mexican Spanish. What do you think? Do you love Mexican Spanish? Once again, there is no perfect Spanish, but I gotta say, I'm pretty biased and I do love Mexican Spanish. But I love Spanish from all over the world. Muchas gracias por ver este video. If you'd like to learn more Spanish from me, click the link in the video description to check out our Fluent Spanish Speaker Academy. Our goal is to help you have a 10-minute Spanish conversation in 90 days without feeling unconfident. So check it out by clicking the link in the video description. Muchas gracias. Hasta luego.